I'm Steven Santa, and I'm the director of Sweeney Todd. I am originally from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, but now I live in Beechview, which is a suburb of, well, I guess it's technically part of the city of Pittsburgh. So when we got the cast together on our first rehearsal, I basically told them, this is not your grandma Sweeney Todd. Meaning that when most people think of Sweeney Todd, they think of it as almost an opera. It's a big production with a large orchestra and many voices on stage. And we're doing pretty much the opposite of that. This is a very intimate production. We have a cast of 16, an orchestra of, I believe, 9 players on a very smaller stage and a smaller scale. But the theatricality is still there, but in a new, different, and exciting way. So I've staged the show in the 1950s in a psychiatric hospital, and we're basically seeing the story through the patient's eyes, what happened to them, and they're kind of reliving this story of Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett, particularly through the character of Toby. We're reliving the experiences through his eyes. So he basically wrangles all the patients in the hospital to retell this story that he's lived through. He picks someone up and turns them into Joanna, takes another patient and turns them into Sweeney Todd. But we were also kind of seeing a secondary story of these actual real patients and what they're going through inside this hospital. And it kind of mirrors the story of Sweeney Todd, where we see these people that are going through this challenging circumstances in this hospital. So we have the real story of Sweeney Todd being relived, but also the secondary story of how these patients overcome the abuse that they've been going through in this hospital. I think that one of the things I really like about the community in Pittsburgh is that it is so small, and that everyone has crossed paths with one another. Everyone knows each other, and everyone has more or less worked with each other. And there really is a really, really strong sense of community. Even for this show, it's like, we have to borrow props. We have to find a gurney. So, you just reach out to all of the people that you know, and you find the things you need. So everyone is always willing to help each other and make sure that, their shows that they're working on at that time are successful. So that's part of the driving force, and that the community just keeps growing and growing and growing. Every year there's new companies popping up and companies that are doing different things. There's so much immersive theater happening in Pittsburgh that it isn't happening in a lot of other cities. So it's just that the community keeps growing and just creating really awesome and unique theater experiences. I think it is that they're willing to produce shows that maybe wouldn't have a life anywhere else in the city, that other companies might take a chance on. For instance, they produced Carrie, and that's a show that is infamous for many reasons, and they were able to take that show and tackle it. So I think it's exciting that they are willing to produce shows that other companies may not take a chance on, because, a lot of people are worried about ticket sales and that kind of thing, and making sure that the bottom line is met. And they are really kind of a guerrilla theater company, kind of in the trenches, wanting to do exciting and different things. And it's kind of like an all hands on deck experience, which I really enjoy, that kind of environment, because everyone's doing it for the right reasons and the same reasons, because they want to put on quality theater. After Sweeney Todd opens and closes, I'll be working on Hedwig and the Angry Inch with Pittsburgh Musical Theater. I have a really exciting creative team involved with the show. Britton Mox, our set designer, who is one of the hottest up and coming set designers in the city, and he's come up with a really exciting set that I think people are really going to love. I can't reveal any casting yet, but I will say that the actor who's playing Hedwig is kind of a legend in their own way, and I'm really excited to have them coming to Pittsburgh to perform Hedwig for our audiences. I wish I could tell you who it is, but I can't tell you yet. I think that where we're kind of leaning towards now is putting the magnifying glass on diversity and accessibility. And I think that's something that's happening culturally around theater in the whole country and the world, is finding ways to make it as accessible as possible and as diverse as possible. And not just in our casting and storytelling, but in the stories that we choose to tell. Plays that are by people from all walks of life and different backgrounds and different ethnicities, different genders, and really being able to tell a full range of stories. I think that's really important, and something that Pittsburgh is definitely starting to move in that direction of trying to make our seasons and our programming as diverse as possible. My advice would be to go and see as much theater in the city as possible and see different scales. See the really large productions and travel and see the smaller productions, because there's so much theater happening within 25, 30-mile radius of the city. And I think it's important to get out and see as much as you can and then talk to the people involved with the shows, either there or via the internet. Pittsburgh has a strong Facebook community with as many different groups on Facebook where you can connect with all of the actors and designers and writers and directors in the city. So it's really just networking the best that you can. And I think one of the best ways is just to get out and see as much as you can in the city. I'm Steven Santa, and I'm the director of Split Stage Productions' Sweeney Todd, and Mr. Bones knows me.